In War Thunder, some tank modification effects are straightforward, but others are not even mentioned in descriptions. I will explain what each modification does and conveniently display their effects in side-by-side comparison in this long-awaited Tank Modification Guide. Horizontal drive increases the speed at which your turret rotates. That is mostly noticeable in close quarters when flanking behind enemy lines, otherwise not a priority upgrade. Adjustment of fire. Even if you aim at exactly the same spot, every round will slightly deviate from where you aim depending on cannon's accuracy. This modification decreases both vertical and horizontal weapon spread. In case with automatic weapons, weapon spread can also increase depending on how overheated the cannon becomes. In case with missiles, cannon's accuracy is not taken into account at all, and vehicles that can use only missiles don't even have this modification. In general, it's not worth prioritizing this upgrade, since unless you often shoot at very long distances, the accuracy increase is not very noticeable. Elevation mechanism increases weapons accuracy in a similar way as adjustment of fire, but only in vertical axis, and also increases cannon's elevation speed. Most of the time, it's one of the last upgrades to research. All three previously mentioned modifications are quite simple. They increase vehicle stats by certain percentages, more in arcade and less in realistic game mode. While the next upgrade, improved optics, in all game modes adds 30% increase to crew members' keen vision skills. In arcade, it will increase the range at which markers will appear, while in realistic it increases the range at which enemy tank will trigger a small red arrow at the border of your screen. Rangefinder, laser rangefinder, and laser warning system improves your gunner's ability to measure distance to any object on a map. Without this modification, you can measure up to 1200 meters depending on gunner's range-finding skill. With rangefinder, you will measure faster and the range can go up to around 3500 meters. With laser rangefinder, you will measure even faster and the sight will automatically adjust to your measured value, while the maximum range will go up to 10 kilometers. At top tiers, some laser rangefinders are combined with laser warning system. It will display a warning message when someone uses laser rangefinder while targeting you or launches a laser-guided missile. If your rounds have poor ballistics and you have difficulties hitting distant targets, rangefinder might be one of the priority upgrades. The rest of modifications don't increase vehicle stats or crew member skills. Instead, they add some unique features that were not even available to that vehicle before. Projectiles or ammunition belts. Usually tanks in War Thunder can use many different rounds, but only one or two of them will be useful in battle. In many cases, the main difference between ammunition types is projectile's penetration, so there is no point to use a less penetrating round once you research something better. Unlocking shells is one of the most important things you should focus on as soon as you unlock the vehicle. Some vehicles will underperform until you unlock a specific ammunition type. For example, some SPAAs cannot destroy tanks at all until armor-piercing belt is unlocked. Additional armor increases vehicle protection in various ways. At low tiers, it's mostly tracks that are usually placed in frontal area. At higher tiers, you will also be able to add usual or reactive armor plates on certain vehicles. In all cases, additional armor will increase tank's mass, which will affect acceleration and braking distance. But sometimes there are more downsides. For example, Amphibious BMP-2 loses its ability to swim because of increased weight. Artillery support. It allows you to send artillery barrage at any location on the map that is not too far from you or too close to enemy respawn point. Usually very random, but occasionally will grant you an extra kill or at least assist. Mostly useful against trucks or similar unarmored vehicles, campers who stay in one place, or at the beginning of a match when you know that there will be a huge concentration of enemy vehicles on the nearest capture point. AIRSTRIKE. This modification differs in realistic and arcade game modes. In arcade, it allows you to join already activated air battle with attacker, bomber or fighter, whichever you have available. This results in your team having up to 4 planes instead of 3, and 2 of them can be bombers. In realistic, it doubles the spawn point cost reduction of all aircraft in your lineup for each scouted opponent that was destroyed by an ally. There are 2 types of night vision devices. First one is quite simple. It just brightens the image by amplifying light in the infrared spectrum. Can be either lifesaver or totally useless, depending on your in-game brightness and contrast settings. Another, more advanced one is thermal imager. It can be used at any time of the day and highlights the areas that are warmer than the rest of the image, such as working tank engine or recently fired cannon. Thermal sight very helpful when detecting opponents in realistic game mode, especially those hiding behind bushes, since there are no markers. At top tiers, most of the tanks will have this thermal device, and it's one of the modifications you should prioritize. Night vision devices on the same vehicle are not necessarily the same. In gunner, commander and driver view, you might have different devices available or don't have them at all. If you want to know in advance, check what's on the Wikipedia page. Smoke grenades, smoke shells and exhaust smoke system allows you to use different types of smoke screen in different ways. ESS is emitted from tank's engine and will leave a trail of smoke wherever you go, but has a big downside. The already mentioned thermal sight can see through this type of smoke, so it's not so useful at top tier battles. Smoke shell is loaded into the cannon and is fired like a regular shell. Allows you to deploy smoke cover at very long distances, but you will have to wait for a reload until you can attack someone with normal rounds. Smoke grenades, unlike smoke shells, have independent launchers that allow you to deploy smoke at any time, but grenades drop relatively close to your vehicle. In arcade game mode, the smoke screen also removes markers if you cannot see the enemy. And keep in mind that smoke not only conceals your vehicle, but also attracts more attention to your area. In Tank Modification Guide Part 1, I overviewed mobility upgrades. If you want to know more about them, check the video in the top left corner. Otherwise, in the bottom left, you can see whatever YouTube algorithm recommends.